Hello, I'm Richard J. Dowling and welcome to Guitar Trek. Today we're going to be looking at tremolo pedals and some tips and tricks for using them in your songwriting and riff creation. So here we are. The tremolo is an effect which works by changing the amplitude of the guitar signal. Amplitude just means the volume. So what happens is that the volume goes up and down very quickly. This causes the effect. This is my clean signal. It's useful to have a little idea of, in this particular case, the pedal I'm using is very cheap. Behringer pedal, but works very well. I think for tremolo is quite an easy effect because it's just a volume control essentially. Let's see, you've got here on the left the rate knob, which changes the speed at which the effect goes. In the middle you've got the waveform, which I'll explain a little bit later on, and then the depth just effectively controls how much of the effect you're hearing. If it's all the way anti-clockwise, then you hear nothing of the effect. If it's all the way clockwise to the maximum, then you hear the effect in full. I showed you the clean signal. This is what's happening now. I kick in the effect. So you can hear this, the effect is working by shaking the volume up and down very quickly. It's good to have an understanding of how an effect changes the signal of your guitar so that you can try to emphasize that effect, which will make for more of an impact. The tremolo is changing the volume, so anything that has an impact on the volume will have an impact on the way the effect works, by which I mean, for example, I tried using a reverb after tremolo, which didn't really work because the reverb smudges out the effect. You don't hear it as much. But as you can hear, if you play a chord, let it ring, you can appreciate the effect. If you play all 6 strings at the same time, you hear the effect more. If you play 1 string, the effect is there, but it's not as prominent. And if you play blues noodling around, you don't really, you get the impression that something's happening to the notes, but you can't really appreciate the tremolo effect. It just sounds a bit warbly, a bit undefined. That's a lot more confident. Seems to work for some reason. Seems to work better on the bridge pickup. Maybe that's just on my guitar, but I think maybe the added resonance of the bass helps the effect to work more strongly. So as for using it, obviously it works well if you're playing just a simple chord backing. Try and go in time with the effect. It's quite nice if you actually synchronize. Effect. It's almost like a delay in a way. Hold on, let's just try another arpeggio. In fact, I've got an echo here. Hold on. see if this sounds. The echo works very well actually. If I spent more time, I'd try and synchronize the timing of the echo a bit more exactly. It was just. It's a good example of the way in which effects can work well together when you're playing to the effect and you're trying to use the effect to its advantage, rather than just coming up with a guitar riff and then sticking an effect on top. Doesn't really work very often well that way. Whereas if you're just listening to the effect, how it works, trying to bring out the best of the effect, you can often stumble upon some good ideas, which hopefully for songwriting will help you to maybe come up with different ways of producing a song, different ideas for coming up with guitar riffs, that sort of thing. Let me just go back to the ordinary tremolo. So let's see. Quite like playing in sync with this rhythm for some reason. I've tried this with echo, so now I'm going to try it with. We're playing with a clean guitar signal with no distortion. I'm going to adjust the amp for a bit of distortion. This is a Vox Pathfinder amp, which is not known for its distortion sound. The clean sound is very nice, especially good for practicing at home. But hold on, give me a second while I just adjust the gain and see if we can get a usable distortion. Sounds like the Who to me. Just to go back a little bit on myself, the wave button on this pedal, I'm not sure how this compares with some of the high-end tremolos. You've got a simple control for shaping the waveform, so that on the left it's a triangular shape, a sawtooth shape, which effectively means that the volume is decreasing and increasing relatively in a lineal way, relatively. Whereas if you put it on this side, on the right, it's square wave, which means it's clipping the tops and bottoms of the sound effect, which gives it a more abrupt sound. So, for example. Versus over here, it's a little bit softer, essentially.